Viralnater presents It's No Secret Why Melissa Rauch Isn't Around Anymore. An episode of a program that was shown on CBS on September 24, 2007, won the affection of science enthusiasts all around the world. We all needed a comedy like this one, which chronicles the lives of a bunch of socially awkward geeks. This sitcom was a whole new idea in the world of television, and it was a sitcom that we all needed. People, regardless of whether they were nerds or not, fell in love with the show, and they found the group to be quite sympathetic. A little amount of drama, on the other hand, was taken on behind the scenes. When the actors were surrendering their contracts for the 11th and 12th seasons of the program, which included the last 2 seasons, many talks were taking place. Bob Newhart as Arthur Jeffries. Then, he was the host of the children's scientific program that was called Professor Proton. Arthur Jeffries. He was someone whom Sheldon and Leonard looked up to when they were younger, and it was to their great joy when they eventually became engaged with him in real life. He passes away in the 7th season, but it doesn't imply that Jeffries is no longer a part of the program. In Sheldon's dreams, he continues to make a few more visits, often seeming a bit bewildered and dressed in a Star Wars outfit. He continued to appear in Sheldon's nightmares. Bob Newhart as Arthur Jeffries, now. Even though Bob Newhart doesn't need an introduction, we're gonna go ahead and do one anyhow. Since many decades ago, Newhart has been regarded as a legend due to the wonderful example of deadpan humor that he's provided. It was in 1960 that he released his album of hilarious monologues titled The Button-Down Mind of Bob Newhart, which was his big break. He went on to have one of the most prolific careers in the history of the comedy business. Following his performance in The Big Bang Theory, Newhart went on to reprise his role as Professor Proton in Young Sheldon, the prequel sitcom that depicted Sheldon's life as a child. However, he did so mostly via voiceovers. Brian Posen as Bert Kibler, then. Another researcher from Caltech, Bert is a geologist who, as his career necessitates, appreciates the odd rock pun. He's a member of the Caltech community. In the 7th season, Bert shows some interest in Amy, but she's unaware of this until her friends tell her about it. On the other hand, we would not be concerned about Bert's destiny. It turns out that he's a fairly nice person who has a pretty fantastic profession, and there's even a fancy research grant that he receives, which is something that the majority of the group can only dream about. Brian Posen as Bert Kibler, now. Brian Posen has a large number of acting credits to his name, even though he has mostly appeared in supporting parts. It was in the middle of the 1990s that he made his acting debut in a variety of tiny parts, and he's been working in the field ever since. He's worked in movies, television, and voice acting, and he's even created work for television and written for it. His most recent parts include a recurrent position in the television program Top Secret Videos and the voice role of Sour Cream in the sophisticated animation Steven Universe. Both of these roles are among his most recent roles available. Judd Hirsch as Alfred Hofstadter, then. Alfred Hofstadter, Leonard's father, makes a physical appearance in little more than 2 episodes of the program, even though he's referenced over and over again during the show. Before then, the only knowledge that the audience had about him was bits and pieces of information that Beverly, Leonard's mother, had shared with them. These pieces of information did not depict him in a very favorable light. On the other hand, the couple ultimately decides to split, which is to their mutual advantage. He meets Mary, Sheldon's mother, near the conclusion of the 9th season, and the two seem to have a nice chemistry, which contributes to the possibility of an exciting connection between them. Judd Hirsch as Alfred Hofstadter, now. Beginning in the early 1970s, Judd Hirsch has established an amazing acting career that spans the whole decade. Beginning with a few parts that were not acknowledged to him, he gradually worked his way up the ranks until he was cast in the most famous role of his career, which was as Alex Rieger in the television program Taxi, which aired for more than 100 episodes. When compared to the many acting credentials that this guy already had, The Big Bang Theory was a mere drop in the bucket. Since the conclusion of the program, he's never been absent from the screen and has continued to make frequent appearances in a wide variety of television shows. He's even provided his voice for the adult animation Big Mouth that's popular on Netflix. Melissa Rauch as Bernadette Wolowitz, then. Previously employed as a waiter at the Cheesecake Factory, Bernadette has a doctorate in biology and has worked there in the past. Penny was the one who brought her to Howard's notice in the 3rd season, which is when we first saw her. In the beginning, they didn't have much in common, but as time went on, they became friends because both of their mothers were very controlling. In the 4th season, Howard proposes to her, and in the 6th season, they both say yes. Following a period, they're blessed with a daughter called Hallie and a son named Neil. Melissa Rauch as Bernadette Wolowitz, now. Melissa made her debut on television in a few different series before her big role on The Bachelorette. There were a few roles that she played in The Office and True Blood. Additionally, she's appeared in a few films, such as The Bronze in 2015 and Are You Here in 2013. After she signed on for seasons 11 and 12, the actress and Mayim both received an increase in their respective salaries. They now get a staggering $500,000 per episode. Regina King as Janine Davis, then. When watching a program in which the majority of the characters are uncomfortable and socially incompetent, it's refreshing to be reminded of the viewpoint of a typical person every once in a while. Even though she works at Caltech, Janine Davis is not employed in the scientific field. She's one of the very few voices on the program that can be considered reasonable since she works in the Human Resources Department of the institution. You can count on Janine to lay down the law and teach some fundamental human etiquette if one of the main gang's members intentionally or unintentionally engages in behavior that's deemed unacceptable. We are grateful for her selfless effort. Regina King as Janine Davis, now. Regina King is a woman whose name is so royal that it's impossible not to bow down to her. Her career as an actress got off to a rousing start when she was cast as Brenda Jenkin in the television show 227. She continued to play this part for a total of 110 episodes and 5 years. Not too shabby for that first gig. Because she's so good, this actress has been a series regular in an overwhelming number of episodes since then. 24, Southland, and American Crime, to mention just a few examples of all these shows. Once the run of The Big Bang Theory came to an end, King went on to appear as Sister Night, also known as Angela Abar, in the critically acclaimed superhero ministry series Watchmen. Joshua Molina as President Siebert, then. Raise your voices. However, he's not the type of president who would do that. He's a physicist and the president of Caltech, and his name is Dr. Siebert. To put it simply, he's concerned about finances and financing, and that's about it. During the 3rd season, we're introduced to him for the first time, and his performances continue to be the staple for the duration of the program. The 12th and final season, on the other hand, provides us with a significantly larger dose of him. This is primarily because Sheldon's research is making progress, and he's in the running for the Nobel Prize during the season. Joshua Molina as President Siebert, now. Since the early 1990s, Molina has been acting, although he has mostly played supporting parts up to the time when he was cast in the character of Jeremy Goodwin in the film Sports Night. Thereafter, he moved on to other ventures, such as becoming a series regular on The West Wing and Scandal. He worked in that capacity for 2 years. Following the conclusion of The Big Bang Theory, Molina was only cast in minor parts on television. Nevertheless, there is little doubt that we'll see him in a significant role shortly. If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon